He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This one's wife. Ozempic. Who shat in the bed? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This could be a case for Hercule Poirot to investigate, or Sherlock Holmes, because apparently Hollywood is gripped by the case of a phantom pooper who reportedly lost control of their bowels during a party at Gwyneth Paltrow's home in the Hamptons, owing to a side effect of Ozempic, the drug which has taken the world by storm thanks to its weight loss side effects. Rumours of the embarrassing incident soon spread like wildfire, with internet sleuths working around the clock to try and uncover the mystery celebrity who fled the party in the middle of the night after making an unsightly mess in bed. Well, this is certainly something that bears further investigation, but who might our suspects be? Well, clearly, top of the list, it has to be Amber the Turd Heard, who has previous form for dumping in the bed. Although denied by her, the world was fascinated by the allegation that, as a devaluing act, she squatted and pinched a loaf into a bed at Johnny Depp's property. Could it be that Amber Heard has manifested again as the phantom pooper, unable to restrain herself? Was she overly envious about the interior furnishings at Gwyneth Paltrow's Hampton home and decided that in an act of defiance that she would pull down her smalls, take a squat, and dump in the bed? Well, she'd certainly be a prime suspect, albeit that Amber the Turd Heard spends more of her time away in Spain. Perhaps it's Sharon Shit-in-the-Box Osbourne. The reality star made no secret of the fact that she once popped a turd in a box and sent it through the post to somebody that she didn't like. Could she also have exhibited envious of all of the subtle off-whites within the Hampton home of Gwyneth Paltrow that motivated her in a mad moment to march into one of the bedrooms, pull back the duvet and decide to lay cable? Well, it's a distinct possibility. But there are other shit-based celebrities who need to be examined and investigated. For instance, it might be Joe Cacapants Jonas. He admitted that he pooped his white pants on stage. He said, "Such is life. It's happened to many artists. So I feel like I've paid my dues, and I'm part of some secret club now, you know?" He said, "Everybody poops, and I feel like everybody has a wild poop story. It's part of being human. So in the spirit of everybody poops, he dumped." Yes. Could it be, therefore, that this ease at which he soiled his pants has taken him across a particular barrier, whereby shitting in somebody else's bed is not a problem for him? We'll be keeping an eye on Jonas. Could it be Ed Shart Sheeran? He misjudged a fart on stage and pooped his pants. He explained, "It was like midway through a performance, and I was like, really, like lively. And halfway through I was like, well, I'm just going to stand still for the rest of this performance and hope it's over soon, then go home and throw these trousers out." There appears to be a degree of shame and embarrassment on the part of the ginger-haired pop star, which suggests that quite possibly going so far as to drop a log at Gwyneth Paltrow's home might not be his modus operandi. An alternative suspect is Ty Soils His Smalls Burrell. He explained that he was so anxious about meeting his agent for the first time that he engaged in liquidating his assets. He explained, "I shook his hand, walked out into Times Square, and soiled myself. He admitted this in a New York Times column. He then continued walking to McDonald's and said, "There, I threw my underwear in the garbage. I now had no underwear and bizarrely none of the anxiety I had felt mere moments before." Could it be that Ty Burrell, star of Modern Family, found himself at Gwyneth Paltrow's house and felt a little bit anxious and decided that it was time for him to drop the bombs over Baghdad and, in doing so, relieve himself of that anxiety? Who else might find themselves a suitable suspect in relation to such emptying of the log yard shenanigans? Well, we also have Nick Copious Evacuation Kroll. He explains that he once missed the potty. He goes on to explain, "I had a couple of morning meetings, a couple of different cups of coffee, different blends. And the last meeting was a fruit smoothie. I'm like, uh-oh, this caterpillar wants to turn into a butterfly. I get in front of my house and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. And then I just fill my underwear with a travel-sized pillow worth of brisket." A certainly vivid explanation for the shit-based chicanery that he engaged in. There's also another suspect. Selena shits on Sharon Gomez in an interesting twist which involves the ginger-haired pop star who we heard from earlier. Is it the case that she dropped a massive New Jersey, that she was negotiating the release of chocolate hostages but went too soon, or doing battle with Count Dooku? Well, she explains that Ed Sheeran, also known as Ed Shart Sheeran, was playing at the Hollywood Bowl, and there was so much traffic that she was feeling rather uncomfortable down there. So she'll say, "It's the first time that I maybe soiled my pants a bit." Possibly being a little bit coy in relation to that explanation. And also, what about this one's wife? Well, we know that she is a user of Ozempic as a consequence of the recent weight loss that has been witnessed. Is it the case that she was staying over at Gwyneth Paltrow's and in the night, thinking that she was just letting a bit of wind out, instead sharted in the bed and made a complete mess? Is it the case that in these circumstances, this one's wife dropped a deuce, that she thought she was bombing the porcelain village and instead released Wonka's waterfall into a bed at Gwyneth Paltrow's? Was she taking care of Uncle Tom's truck? Maybe she thought it was time to allow the brown trout to spawn. Could it be that she was quite simply wanting to put the president in the White House? However, she didn't realize that the White House was a white bed, and she has then fed the bear, laid an egg, and got a delivery from the UPS guy in such circumstances. Well, we can only learn more about what went on. This is all reported to that bastion of journalistic excellence, Heat, that explains, "A source tells Heat everybody's buzzing and wants to know who it was, which has caused a lot of stress and anger for Gwyneth and her friends, because people are pointing fingers at them and playing this nasty guessing game. Naturally, Gwyneth is horrified. For one thing, she's adamant that she'd never take Ozempic. She doesn't need it, and she's mortified that her party's gotten tainted with this messy rumour. Could it be the case that Golden Girl Gwyneth is protesting too much? Is it the case that this particular narcissist, being tainted with the allegation that she might have shat the bed, rejects that with a denial? Well, apparently all of her friends are getting accused, and they're all fervently denying it and calling the whole thing a smear campaign for now. But the talk is not dying down. This is a town that loves to gossip, so of course everyone's trying to get to the truth about who it was, and all sorts of names are being thrown around. It's obviously a big worry for the poor culprit, who by all accounts hightailed it out in embarrassment after making a huge mess. Gwyneth is doing her best to try and shut, not shat, this story down, and do damage control, but she's having no luck. It's really bumming her out, pun intended, I assume, because it obviously reflects badly on her to be even associated with such a stinky situation. Although it's not suggested that Shallow Hal star Gwyneth has ever taken Ozempic, she did come under fire last year when she spoke about her diet. Speaking to Dr. Will Cole on his The Art of Being Well podcast, the Oscar winner said, "I eat dinner early in the evening. I do a nice intermittent fast. I usually eat something about 12. In the morning, I'll have something that won't spike my blood sugar, so I have coffee. But I really like soup for lunch. I've done broth for lunch a lot of the days." Adding that she tends to follow a paleo diet for dinner, she continued, "Lots of vegetables. It's really important for me to support my detox." Later, addressing the backlash she received, Gwyneth revealed that she was living with long COVID and had been working with Dr. Cole to deal with some chronic stuff. She added, "This is not easy to say I eat this way all day, every day. And by the way, I eat far more than bone broth and vegetables. I eat full meals, and I also have a lot of days of eating whatever I want. Eating French fries and whatever. My baseline has been to try to be really healthy and eat foods which will really calm the system down." Some famous faces who have admitted to taking Ozempic or similar weight loss drugs in recent months are Sharon Osbourne. Maybe it is her. Form for shit-based chicanery and an Ozempic taker. Robbie Williams has admitted. Is the smash hit singer someone who laid a brown angel in the bed? Oprah Winfrey and Elon Musk. But there is no suggestion that any celebrity just named was in attendance at the party. Comedian Amy Schumer admitted to taking the drug in 2022 but had to stop taking it as she felt so sick. Rebel Wilson briefly took the drug to help maintain her 80-pound weight loss, which she achieved through healthy eating and exercise. Diarrhea is one of the common side effects of drugs like Ozempic, which contains semaglutide, which was first introduced to help tackle diabetes, with 1 in 10 patients being affected. When you consider, says an insider, how many people are taking this drug among the Hollywood in crowd, it's actually not a huge shock that something like this has happened because diarrhea is one of the known side effects of Ozempic. And it's not just Ozempic that can cause it. All these new weight loss drugs contain semaglutide that comes with that risk. It doesn't happen for everyone, but around 10% or so of people taking them do have trouble with diarrhea, and some even get explosive diarrhea, which is apparently what happened in the case of this poor person who humiliated themselves at Gwyneth's and then had to pull a runner. What's truly appalling is that all the people in Hollywood that are on this who don't need it in the slightest, the old saying, you can never be too rich or too thin, is no truer than ever amongst A-listers these days. And even people that you'd never in a million years consider overweight are taking it to get down to a size 0. They don't seem to care about the nasty possible side effects. Of course, almost none of them will admit to taking it publicly and even privately. Most of them are very secretive because there's something of a stigma. Well, there certainly is if you're going around shitting the bed at Gwyneth Paltrow's in the Hamptons. But could it be this one's wife that ended up with explosive diarrhea and doing a massive shart in the bed and then departing? We know that she's experienced considerable weight loss, and it's rumoured that she has been taking Ozempic as a consequence of that. So that would tick one particular box in relation to these bedroom bottom activities. However, there are 2 factors which suggest that it probably isn't this one's wife. First of all, Heat described the person as somebody on the A-list. Well, whilst this one's wife thinks she's on the A-list, she isn't. So that would rule her out. Furthermore, it took place at Gwyneth Paltrow's house. And the last person that this one's wife, or rather the last person that Gwyneth Paltrow is going to be inviting to her house, is this one's wife. I don't see that she climbed in through a window in an act of defiance, pulled down some beige pants and curled one off in the bed. No. If she were to do it, it would have been as a guest. And what really rules out the fact that it could be this one's wife is, 1, she's not on the A-list, and 2, given Gwyneth Paltrow's clear distaste, see Parts Pass Him, where she's repeatedly trolled this one's wife, it isn't the case that she would invite this one's wife to her property at the Hamptons. Thus, speculation could have included this one's wife, but the shitty sleuthing will continue to determine who it was who crapped the bed at Gwyneth Paltrow's Hampton home. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.